Hello ladies and gentlemen, Panzer here, and welcome back to Crossout. And today's build, I don't really know what to say about this one right now, but I've actually had a lot of fun with it, so don't let its appearances fool you. Now, I am aware that this engine right here is actually at 0 durability, but I'm actually just using it for the benefit right now, and frankly it doesn't matter if it gets destroyed, so yeah, I'm going to use it anyway. But as a matter of fact, I have been looking at replacements for that, so I will be crafting another one to replace this eventually, so that I can use it on other builds. Right now, though, it's just taking up the space here so that I can actually get this vehicle up to speed quite nicely. So what this is a vehicle I've named the FLEA. Pardon the animal names as of late, because we've had the giraffe, we've had the bumblebee, and now we've had the FLEA. So we will be getting an elephant soon enough, I think. But the elephant in the room really is, why is this tiny vehicle even worth showing off? Well, two reasons. One, I had a comment from someone, and I, for the life of me, can't remember the name of the person who commented there. So if you are that person, please make yourself known. Somebody actually asked me to try a build with the buggy cabin, so I thought, why not have a look at it and see what I can do with it. So one thing you have to bear in mind is the buggy cabin has very, very low structure points, but it has the highest speed in the game and among the highest acceleration as well. It's also very, very light. It only weighs 2.7 tons and has a mass limit of 5,500 at its base. So really, you can't make this a very heavy vehicle. In fact, it suffers when you start putting a lot more weight on it. So I have actually endeavored to keep the weight as low as possible. It currently only weighs 1.8 tons. It is a very, very light vehicle. So because of that, it's actually able to move very fast. But it had an issue with its mobility in the sense that any slight bump would actually knock it over. One thing that I will demonstrate to you very shortly. So that's why this car jack is here. And additionally, I have acquired a Chameleon module. So this FLEA has the ability of going completely invisible, kind of like the actual FLEAs in real life. There's a starter wheels on it as well, because frankly, the medium wheels were far too heavy. So I actually tried to make the vehicle as light as possible by doing that. However, I didn't have matching wheels for the rear and I wanted steering ones, and my small wheels are all broken right now, so that's why there's medium wheels on here, otherwise it would actually be even lighter. So there are ways of making this even more compact than it already is. This small amount of armor actually pushes it up above 2,000 power score, but it really doesn't need much. It's just given this so that it has some form of structure points. So at the moment it has 150 points of structure, and what I'm actually going to do here before I even demonstrate it is put some planks on it so that we can have just that little bit more protection on the sides. And a little bit more on the rear as well. So that just adds a little bit more weight to it. In fact, I'm going to take off a couple of these planks so that we can keep the weight down. I don't want to exceed 2 tons. That's the main thing I'm trying not to do right now. So planks are among the lightest sort of things that you can put on here. I could probably put tin caps on there, because they only weigh 18 kilograms, but so do the planks, and the planks have much larger coverage. So let's paint these up with the nice coral color, which you've not seen yet in a video, but here it is. This is the coral color right there, and of course it is armed with a couple of hatchet blades, which have been proven to be very effective actually, capable of doing well over 100 damage if I get a decent hit in, which given the speed of this vehicle is actually not hard to do. The saw is also there because bizarrely this vehicle can actually push some of the others around because of the sheer amount of power it has, and it is able to actually get that saw in and do some damage. But the main weapon here is the wasp launcher, something that I've shown off in the last video with the bumblebee. Go and check that out if you haven't yet. And the wasp launcher actually gives this FLEA a significant amount of firepower. and it's capable of doing well over 100 damage per rocket, so you can imagine a direct hit with this could be fairly devastating at most of the middle tiers, so keeping this around 2000 power score is actually ideal. Now initially I did run this with no armor whatsoever, and what that actually meant was that, well, it had about 95 structure points, and most of that came from the frame and the wheels. So it really wasn't the most survivable thing, but having it at about 194 hit points is really the ideal situation. It's just something to give it a little bit of survivability. So let's take it out on a test drive and I can show you exactly how maneuverable this thing is. So we can turn right on a dime like that, and it is faster than basically anything out there. So we can do a full lap of this lake right here, and again, just see how fast this really is. So on a map like Factory, where you have that acid pool in the middle, you can cross the map very, very quickly. But that makes the playstyle very difficult because you're not a very survivable vehicle. And to demonstrate that point, I'm going to fire a couple of rockets off at our clone over here. So you can see just at that range it already nudges it over. In fact, firing at this range, you can see it really does knock it about. Previously, when this had absolutely no armor, in fact it was just a cabin and a weapon, that would actually knock it clean up in the air and make it do a couple of backflips. But you can see that that's already significant amount of damage to this type of vehicle. So we are going to have to avoid taking hits, and that is what the Chameleon module is for. So we can stay fairly well hidden for a short period of time. It doesn't last very long, but it is good enough for an escape, provided somebody isn't already shooting at us. Bear in mind, if you are going to run a Chameleon module, the standard one does not last very long, and all Chameleon modules will deactivate should you fire a shot or happen to take damage. So bear that in mind if you're going for an assassin or a stealthy type build. Alrighty, here we go, and immediately on the factory map, this is the one that I mentioned in the test drive earlier, and one thing that you want to be aware of when playing a vehicle like this is being very careful of your positioning. You want to be able to plan attacks where you can get in and out very quickly. So I've done a full lap here just to give the team time to disperse and then see where we're all headed. So it looks like the city area might actually be fairly empty. So you definitely don't want to get caught out there by yourself. And I happen to have flipped myself over, but never mind, I have a carjack. So let's have a look-see at what's going on here. So we're going to go around the industrial area and crash into a few containers on the way. And let's see if we can sneak around there. That crash there was intentional because I did actually want to take that corner. But most other crashes from here on in will probably not be intentional. Alright, so there are a lot of enemies that way, and I really don't want to be upside down right now. Come on, flip, 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 flip. Alright, so there's mostly bots in this area right now. So let's see if we can get a couple of shots in. And let's get out. Let's get out, let's get out, let's get out. Oh. Alright, new match, new map. And this is the bridge map with the dried riverbed. And definitely not a place for a close combat vehicle. That is what this is, after all. So, this is going to be a tricky one to play. We didn't do that well in the last match, and that's really because I got caught way out of position. Went in for a kill a little bit too early. Should have probably waited for that. And probably been a bit more aware of the minimap, really. Let's flip ourselves back over, and let's get back up. So, this is going to be a difficult one. Also, bear in mind, if you're using a buggy cabin, this is among the slowest reverse speed out of any other vehicle. Just have a look at this. It is actually slower than a pickup, so be aware that that is Not something you want to be caught doing. In fact, given it's so small, you can just turn around and go back out. So you might be thinking, a turreted vehicle would probably be better for this. And you might be right, but nothing would do as much instantaneous damage as one of these, and I'm certainly not going to be putting a cannon on top of this anytime soon. There's no backflipping buggies here. So that's something I've got to do. Just be aware that rockets do have a very large splash damage, so if you're going to use them on the way in, and don't get caught using them when you're in melee range. Alright, so now that the team has moved along a little bit, we have people in here. That's a good hit, and camo. So, they haven't seen us, necessarily. There is somebody directly behind me now, and I'm gonna fire off, and let's get away. No, that's knocked our wheel off. So, one thing you gotta be very careful of is your wheels, because you don't want to be caught without any mobility. That's something you definitely want to be very careful of. So we've just lost our Wasp launcher. They were very clever to take that away from us. But we still have our Carjack and our Chameleon, so we can still make use of that saw and hopefully get a couple of melee kills in. There's one opportunity right there. Let's cloak up and sneak up on him. Let's see if we can get a good kill in. Oh, I've missed the ram. That's just the downside of not having one of your steering wheels on. He does seem to be a little bit preoccupied, so he might not notice me. He is the last one on his team, though. So let's try to get in there. Let's just sneak away. He has seen me. Yeah, he's very cleverly dispatched that bot and gotten rid of me. So you definitely don't want to be caught out. But we still won that one anyway, so I'm quite happy with that result. Of course, a decent reward for that overall. Alright, back on the power plant map. Oh no, this is a completely different map. So we had the industrial map now, and we've got the power plant. So there's a lot of close combat, and we want to be very, very careful on when we attack. But this gives us a good chance to close range very, very quickly. So one thing you want to be aware of with wheels is that they do slow down very significantly if you get caught in the water. And I'm just going to poke out here and see if we can see anybody. And there doesn't appear to be anybody there. But that does not mean we should go rushing in there just yet. I'm just going to sneak around here. And hopefully we can get a couple of shots in and run away. And that's a lot of them. Alright, well, now we are chameleoned up and we're going away. I am on my rear wheels from the looks of it. That's also one downside of using Chameleon, is that if you're on unstable ground, it becomes very tricky to know exactly where you are in relation to, you know, the ground. So you could roll over, and it might even take a little bit of time to figure that out. So that's something to be very careful of when using something like this. Oh, and that's not good for us. But it was enough to distract him, enough for our teammate to get in there, so that's useful. One thing I would like to see, though, in this game is the use of scouting. So we have a lot of radars and things that could be very, very useful for scouts, but unfortunately there isn't any reward for that sort of thing, or any call for it anyway. And we got killed. But as I was saying, yeah, there needs to be some sort of reward for a scouting role, because of course spotting enemy players can be very useful for your team, especially if you're carrying a radio. So perhaps maybe radio carrying players could be marked as scouts and get spotting bonuses as well. Of course that means everybody will probably run them, but at least there's some reward for those who are better at getting in and out of places and maybe not damaging things. Alright, and the last match of the day here on Rock City. So this is the assault map that many people are familiar with, and hopefully we get to see more of this type of game mode in new maps to come. That's the hope anyway, but this is a map that does give us a fair amount of opportunities to really get in there. So if we sneak around up here, we might be able to get a flank on the other team. So one trick that I've actually carried over from World of Tanks, in fact, this game I used to play, is the dune surfing. So what do you see I'm doing here if you are playing a scouting vehicle or a light vehicle of any kind, doing this sort of pattern up here, you can actually see over the top of it without exposing yourself too much. So we can actually see there is somebody there on the cap just there. So we could pop up, maybe take a shot at them. And I missed completely. But you get the idea. And of course, usually there are snipers up there, so we do want to avoid that. Now let's see if we can maybe stop this cap. I don't know exactly. It looks like maybe one person is on there. So we might be able to do something before it reaches 100. Oh, okay, somebody's just been taken out. So we do have a chance now. I'm going to sneak on in. I said I'm going to sneak on in. There they are. And they've got machine guns, which is particularly dangerous for us because they are able to remove parts of our vehicle. And I was kind of hoping to push him out of the cap there, but it was enough for somebody else to get in too. So never underestimate the opportunities that you can create for your team by being the one to push in there. It's all about sort of being very strategic here, and we are unfortunately on the losing side here, but you can see that push from me was enough to get the team moving in any case. But I'm afraid that is all we have time for today, so that is a quick look at the FLEA. Obviously this is not the optimal build for something like this, but it does give you an idea of just how small vehicles can be, and in fact some of the different roles you can actually play in your team. After all, a very small, light and maneuverable vehicle can have its uses in a team fight. This is obviously not something that you want to bring into a PvE match, but I have found some success actually doing that. Of course, you might want to replace the Wasp launcher with possibly a machine gun or an autocannon, simply because of the ammunition use of that. And of course, Chameleon might not be as useful in PvE. However, this is primarily built for PvP, so be aware of that. So you can get some decent kills. In fact, I have gotten a couple of kills in this machine. People just don't expect it. You come flying out of nowhere and just absolutely smash them with your rockets there. And of course flip yourself over very frequently. But the amount of ramming damage you can actually inflict, and combined with the buzzsaw, you can get some decent ramming kills when nobody's expecting it. If you come in from the side, it's entirely possible to do a fair amount of impact damage as well. So that's something that you can obviously try. Of course, I'm by no means saying that this is the best way to build or play this vehicle, but let me know how you got along with some of the lighter builds out there. Have you used a buggy cabin? Have you tried to make a fast hit and run or ambushing vehicle? Or how have you used the Chameleon vehicle? Chameleon module rather. Let me know down in the comments below. And if you have any questions about this particular build, don't forget to ask away and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. But that's all from me. My name is Panzer. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And I will see you next time.